Okay. Okay, now let me quickly use this to explain. I'm just seeing your message now, just right now. So this is how we roll on here at Seven Planets. We attend to students challenge real time. So this is a real time question from one of my students who is asking about solution to this. Calculate the surface area of a triangular prism 10.8 centimeters long and having a right angle triangular face of dimensions 8.8 by 5.7 by 6.8. If you look at a triangular prism, definitely it looks somehow like this. Pardon my drawing, I'm not good at drawing actually, but I'll try my best. So triangular prism should look something like this. Okay, and since they say it's right angle triangular, so that's why I'm drawing two cross sections of a right angle shape. Then, so let's say this is the front, then this is the rear part, just like a goalpost. Okay, so looking at this now, I want to calculate the total surface area. First, we have to identify how many surfaces do we have in the prism. So definitely the prism has if I will count, it has a two right angle triangle cross section. So it has that's a 1 and 2. Okay, then there's the base, this base here, this part here, so making 3. So there's this rectangular base, so making 3. Then there is this part here as well, this part here, so that one too is also a rectangle. So I'm trying to break down the surfaces. So 2, 3, 4. Then there is also this part here. Yes, this part here. So making 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means we have a 5 faces there. So now let's look at the dimension of each of these from what we are actually given. So they said it is 10.8 centimeters long. So from here to here is 10.8. So this place is 10.8. So definitely this side too is 10.8 since it's like a rectangle. So opposite sides are equal. Then definitely this rear part too is also 10.8. So since it's a rectangle, 10.8. Then we are given the dimension of the right angle triangle. So if you look at it, 8.8 centimeter, that's the longest of the 3 dimensions here. Okay, the dimensions here. Okay, 8.8, 5.7 and 6.8. So since it's the longest, so definitely that is the hypotenuse. That's this part here is 8.8. Okay, then 5.7 and 6.8 can be either of these two parts here. Okay, so 5.8 and the 2.7. So let's say this is the 5.8. That's this part here. That's the 5.8. Then this side is 6.8 rather, 6.8, and here is 5.7. So looking at it, what is the total surface area? So find the area of the triangular cross section first. So using what's it called, half base times height. So the area of the triangular cross section, you find that part, that's a half base times height. So you do that, half base times what? Times height. So the base is 6.8 and the height is 5.7. So you find that, then multiplied by 2 since there are 2 of them. So definitely that means we'll just use base times height then, since there are 2. So half base times height times 2, because there are 2 triangular cross sections there. So we give us base times height. So just simply use base times height. We don't need this half there. That's 5.7. So that's 5.7 times 6.8. So you get the value and you keep that. Then the section here, this part here, you find the area too. That one should be giving us 10.8 times 5.7. Yes, that one is 10.8 times 5.7. Okay, the length here is 10.8 and this here is 5.7. So you keep that answer as well. Then for this base here, you find that one too. That is 10.8 times 6.8. So that's the area of that surface. You keep that answer as well. Then this part here, you also find the area. That's 10.8 times 8.8. Yes, remember this length here is 8.8. So 10.8 times 8.8 will give you the area of this part here. So add all these areas together and you get your total surface area. So I hope that is clear. So let me see your result when you are through, okay? All right, have a nice day. Take care.